Good evening and welcome to today's Tax Talk. I'm your host. I'm attorney Stephen Leahy. It is Monday, October. What is the date today? October 10th, October 11th, year of our Lord 2021. We're finding more and more things in this reconciliation bill that is one of those bills that need to be. We have to pass it in order to find out what's in it. Well, we're finding out what's in it. The global tax. Is that something we should agree to? Well, let's find out. Okay, welcome to today's Tax Talk. Again, we're going to talk about the global tax deal. We've learned a lot about the reconciliation bill, the things that are in it. Very surprised to most people. For instance, we found out that the bank statements to be revealed to the IRS was in that reconciliation bill. It's in the infrastructure bill too. Something that most of us didn't know about. It's buried in the statute somewhere in that legislation. It's in there, and the Biden administration's been pushing for it. Another thing that's buried in there is the pilot program for the GPS system on your car to track your car, so they can tax you by the mile. People will say, "Well, that's just crazy, Attorney Leahy. That's just they're not trying to track you. They just want to know so they can charge you." That might be true, but again, the consequences of the tracking are that the government's going to have a record of everywhere that you go. And so we always know that on Fridays, these bills are passed on Fridays news, I should say, comes out on Fridays that nobody wants you to know about. So on Friday, this last Friday, Janet Yellen, the U.S. Treasury Secretary, came out and announced the global tax deal that they've been working on for many years. It's a minimum tax for global minimum tax, and they're getting it passed. She believes that Congress can pass it. I'm having a little technical difficulties as I went on to find to see that this is. Let me see if I can do some magic while we're on the air here. Doesn't look like I'll be able to do the magic. But anyway, well, I can talk about without showing you the page, the website. But there's just checking the connections. Why isn't it working? Who knows why it doesn't? Why things don't work? It was working just a moment ago. Let's see if I could. Let's see if I can connect the remote. Why isn't it connected? Okay. Well, I thought I could do this quickly, and I still might be able to. I guess not. Okay, so anyway, there's in the finance a story titled "Yellen Confident U.S. Congress Will Pass Minimum Global Corporate Tax," and this is the Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen said on Sunday she was confident the U.S. Congress would approve legislation to implement the global corporate minimum tax agreed by 136 countries. Yellen said the actions to bring the United States into compliance with the global minimum tax would likely be included in the so-called reconciliation budget bill containing President Joe Biden's proposed spending initiatives. How does that fit in there? Who knows? Because everything's in that bill. That's what they just, everything that they want to pass is placed in this bill. And that way, whenever they pass, whatever it is, and that's why, we have to find out what's in it. in order to we have to pass it to find out what's in it, as Nancy Pelosi famously said. I'm going to try this one more time because sometimes I can get it to work very quickly. Oh, okay. Asked on ABC's This Week whether she was confident the measure would go through, Yellen said, "Yes, I am confident that what we need to do to come into compliance with the minimum tax will be included in the reconciliation package. I hope that it will be passed and we will be able to reassure the world that the United States will do its part," because that's what we all know about the United States. We've never really done our part, have we? The preliminary parliamentary maneuver known as budget reconciliation would allow Democrats to act without Republican votes. I love that, the maneuver. It's a parliamentary maneuver. And it is, and that's how they passed Obamacare. That's how they passed almost everything that they don't, our government is set up in order to limit what the bare majority can do, but the Democrats and those in Congress find a way to jam it all through with the bare minimum of votes and change our country, transform our nation, as they tell us. A group of 136 countries on Friday set a minimum global tax rate of 15% for big companies and sought to make it harder for them to avoid taxation in a landmark deal that Biden said leveled the playing field. Treasury officials and tax experts have said that the global minimum tax would not require a treaty to. This is the key here, okay? Because in order to, well, let's read because it's in this, but this is the key, that they don't want it to be a treaty. Treasury officials and tax experts have said that the global minimum tax would not require a treaty to implement and could be achieved in a reconciliation bill because it is a voluntary agreement among countries to individually impose a minimum tax on overseas earnings of corporations. Well, it's a multi-nation agreement. I don't know. Sounds like a treaty to me. The United States has had such a minimum tax since the end of 2017, so it is a matter of raising the rate to conform with the agreement. It is not okay. Treasury officials have said that they regard that global minimum tax as less controversial than the higher overall corporate tax rate or a higher capital gains tax because it puts the United States on a more competitive footing with other countries. Then the U.S. Chamber of Commerce said that it will review the details of Biden administration proposal closely. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce has come to be a big government organization, in my opinion. We remain especially concerned about the cumulative impact of the global minimum tax proposal and the tax changes being sought by the administration as part of the reconciliation bill pending before Congress. Yellen did not address how to implement another part of the deal that aims to revamp taxation for larger technology companies and other highly profitable multinational firms. The so-called Pillar 1 part of the tax deal would reallocate taxing rights on companies with more than $20 billion in annual revenue to countries where their products and services are sold for 25% of the profit above the 10% margin. U.S. Senate Republicans have argued that this would require a new international tax treaty that would require ratification with a two-thirds Senate majority, as all treaties require. Republican senators told Yellen in a letter they were concerned that Biden administration was considering circumventing the need to obtain the Senate's authority to implement its treaties. No, that's exactly what they're doing. That's exactly what they're doing. Under the United States Constitution, which we still, as far as I know, it's still active in America, the Senate must ratify any treaty with a two-thirds majority or 67 votes. Biden's fellow Democrats control only 50 seats in the 100-seat chamber. Republicans in recent years have been overwhelmingly hostile to treaties and have backed cuts in corporate taxes. I don't know if they're hostile to treaties as much as the treaties that they have been presented. Treaties as a concept are fine. Yellen told the Senate Banking Committee hearing in late September that the administration was instead considering alternative means to modify existing bilateral tax treaties that would avoid two-thirds majority. How can you change a tax treaty and not call it a treaty? Yellen has said she believes that taxing rights reallocation for big net multinationals would hold some bipartisan appeal because the deal would replace digital services taxes that have been imposed by some countries or on companies, including Facebook, Alphabet, Amazon, and Apple. She has said the U.S. implementation for that part of the deal may not come until 2022. Reporting, and so there's that story. Again, they're trying to push it through. Here's another story on the same thing. U.S. Treasury Secretary hopes Congress will approve a global corporate tax deal. I hope that it will be passed and we will be able to reassure the world that the United States will do its part. There's that phrase again, that line that she used. And this agreement, this is really a historic agreement. It's something that is very important for American workers to stop what's been the decades-long race to the bottom on corporate taxation, where countries try to cut their taxes to attract our businesses. What a concept. So if there isn't any other place to go that has lower taxes, well, then you have to stay where you are. And of course, that's what they want. I'm one for all America, buy American, but build American. I'm all for that. But if we don't have pressure from for competition for lower taxes, why would they lower the taxes? Because if we lower our taxes, then we can build here in America. But if everybody has the same tax, well, then there is no competition to lower the taxes. And I'm all one that believes that we should have a competition to lower our tax obligations, not increase them. The global corporate tax deal will also reallocate more than 125 billion US dollars of profits from around 100 of the world's largest and most profitable multinational companies to countries worldwide, ensuring that these firms pay a fair share of tax wherever they operate. So it's equity, not equality. We're going to make sure everybody's cut in. I was going to talk about this other story. I don't think I have time to do it today, but about the wrong way to implement the wrong way to reform the IRS. Many point out, and I just want to talk about this a little bit. Many point out that the IRS can't even answer. I did a story, right? My last story on Thursday was about the IRS not being able to answer phone calls. They were answering between 3 and 6%. That's right, 3 and 6% of all calls by a person. And I also mentioned that they're having a hard time sending out tax refunds, processing tax returns, things like that. And so now what we're trying to do is give them more authority, give them more information, give them more jobs to do. And this is where there's a problem. And this is where we should all be worried about what the IRS is up to. If they can't do the job that they already have, why would we give them more jobs? If the privacy of those taxpayers are being violated now, if they have more of our information, why won't it be violated then too? What is the purpose? What are we looking for? What do we really want from the IRS? Is it simply to collect our tax dollars, or is it to protect the privacy of Americans? Is it to answer our questions? Is it to facilitate our tax obligations so they're done in an efficient way? Or do we want another big brother who's looking over our shoulder and looking into all of our bank records and tracking our whereabouts and all that goes along with that? I would have to say I'm for the latter, the former rather than the latter. So that's just a thought, and that's where that's something for us to think about until tomorrow. Now remember, tomorrow is Crypto Tuesday. So we'll be talking about cryptocurrency, and we only do it once a week, so there's always lots of news for cryptocurrency. So join us tomorrow for today's tax talk, where we could talk about cryptocurrency, and we'll see you again tomorrow. Thanks so much for joining us.